know, this is recorded, and I've already got a couple emails this morning asking if it will be recorded. These sessions have been very well attended, and I think are going to be wonderful information for our members. So Kristie has will not be able to join us now. She'll be here later. So we'll make sure that she has a chance to say hello and visit with everybody and welcome everybody, or wrap it up, whatever she wants to do. But I would encourage you to mute your phones or your system to save on unwanted conversations or feedback. There is a chat box at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question, you're welcome to use the chat box. You can also send me a message or an email, whatever works best for you, and we'll try to make sure that your question is brought forward. And then, of course, we'll have time, hopefully, for questions later on, too. So one thing I need to apologize for and make sure that I set straight is this is the Strategic Leadership Development Program, not the Senior Leadership Development Program. And I caught that this morning after looking at Lutricia's presentation, and so I just completely missed that. So I'll do some updates and fixes. And did he bring us lunch, Tina? How sweet of him. So thank you. So, husbands. So anyway, we have a really great program for today. We have some wonderful speakers. You know, we love having our subject matter experts. They bring a lot to the program and what we're talking about in each part. And then later in the program, we'll be talking to a group of WIN leaders and wonderful ladies that have experienced this, the program or are in some process of it. These women are certainly leaders in RCS. They're mentors, some formal, some informal to me, and I learn from them every time I get to visit with them. So, Heather, will you please kick us off and welcome everyone?
Yes, thank you, April. Well, FYI, I'm teleworking from home, so if you hear any kids screaming or husbands cleaning or anything like that, that's what's going on here. So sorry about that. So this is a topic that's very near and dear to me, and I'm super excited about this, having Lutricia and Mark with us. I just wanted to go over a few comments before we get started. WIN is doing a lot of awesome things right now, and if you have not completed your WIN survey, that is due today, so please complete your survey. There was emails that were sent to you all, WIN members, so please check your email. The email that Kristie sent out this morning on the WIN Weekly has the National Bulletin 360-20-4. We are working on the Federal WIN's Program Manager Training. It's a 3-day training and it's great. So the due date is June 8th to get that information in. So please put in your an AGLER working with your supervisor and your training contact. And also we will be having our SWCS meeting that's going to be virtual, and that's July 27th through the 29th. There will be a registration fee, so we have many scholarships available, and we would love you all, if you're interested, to apply for those scholarships. We have not had any takers yet on those scholarships. And so those are all the highlights that I have right now, but I know this is the In It to Win It have been a great series so far this year. I know April and Katrina have spent tons of time on this. Each one keeps building and building. And again, I'm so excited to have Lutricia and Mark with us. So I'll pass it over to you, April. Thank you.
Super, thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started. Mark, you are up first. Mark Bushman is a lead training specialist for EDS, which used to be NEDC if you're not aware of the changes, in Fort Worth, Texas, and is now a member of the FPAC Business Center. He manages 18 EDS classes, and the program manager is the program manager for the Strategic Leaders Strategic Leadership Development Program. I'm going to mess this whole thing up. Strategic Leaders Development Program and the Federal Executive Institute Training Program. So Mark is going to cover the program, the application process, and a little bit about the CCAR process that is utilized in the resume. So with that, over to you, Mark.
Hey, thanks, April. Good afternoon, everybody. It's awesome to see so many familiar names, and some of y'all I haven't seen for quite a while. So it's good to catch up, especially with you, April. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. So and don't worry about the acronym for SLDP, because I've been running the program for 3 years. I still get it wrong. So it's not a problem at all. If you could, you said you had the slides. If you could bring up just the first part there that talks about the application process. Do you have that up? I'm sorry. Okay. There we go. Okay, great. It's pretty simplistic as far as getting it done. You're going to need the signed and completed SLDP application. Actually, let me take a step back. If you're not familiar with SLDP, it's obviously the leadership program that is designed to get the next level of leaders into NRCS and into FPAC, actually. It's designed to get people that are, say, maybe 11s or 12s, to get them into the next level once they become 13s and become supervisors, to get them into the next level senior leadership of NRCS and, again, FPAC. I keep saying NRCS, I mean overall FPAC. The design is considered the succession plan for the agency, which we have to have. You have a lot of people that are eligible to retire, and people are retiring every single year. We're looking at between the shutdown last year, which was about a month and a half, a lot of people wound up retiring because they realized that they just wanted to get on to the next phase of their lives. Same thing with the pandemic now. I think you're going to see, my brother works for OPM in the retirement section, and they anticipate a high number of people that are going to be retiring within the next 6 months to a year. That's going to mean there's a lot of leadership vacancies that are going to need to be filled. This program is designed to help those people get into those vacancies. So this is a good opportunity. This program is fantastic. And Lutricia is going to talk here in a few minutes. She heads up the portion for George Washington University, which does the training, and they do just a fantastic job. They've been doing this for 5 years. They're so easy to work with and so much fun. Lutricia and I, we chat all the time. Even when the program's not going on, Lutricia and I are still chatting about how we can make this thing better. So that helps a lot. But so what you do is you have your signed and completed SLTP application. Then you go on, you want to make sure that your resume is current. That's just like you always want to. The next part I want to talk a little bit about, when it says 2 letters of recommendation from your state, regional, or national leaders within FPAC. That sounds simple, that you can just, because some folks will just get a letter of recommendation from their supervisor. I would recommend try to go a little further than that, because your supervisor, for the most part, you're probably going to have a pretty good rapport with your supervisor, and they're going to want you to succeed. They're going to write you a really good letter of recommendation, and that's great. But what I noticed on the last couple of cadres that we've had is that people that have really gone above and beyond to try and get letters of recommendation from senior leadership, from the chief, from the associate chief, from the state conservationist. Astor Boozer wrote 3 letters of recommendation for the current class. He's an RC. These are some really top level people that are going out of their way to write something on that person's behalf. That's a really big deal. That means that they know that you can do the work and they're behind you. So when you get a letter of recommendation, really try to go high. Try to get into a senior leader to do that for you, because that really looks good. And then you have the last part, which is the key competencies. It's kind of like a more advanced version of the KSAs, which I think we all know and some don't remember as fondly. But these are the new ones. This is the CCAR model, and I can talk about that now, April, or if you wanted. I'm looking at the agenda. You wanted me to talk about that a little bit later. Did you want to go to Lutricia, or how do you want me to go?
If you can put it now, that's fine. If it works better later, that's fine too.
Well, I'll go ahead. If I could, I'll defer to Lutricia to let her talk a little bit about GW's portion, and then we'll come back to the CCAR, and I can go into that a little bit. Is that okay with you? Okay. Lutricia, I'll defer to you.
Right. Thank you very much. So April, let's you could load the slides, that would be great. And while April is pulling up the slides, I want to say hello to everybody and hi to those folks that I haven't seen in a while. Great to see you on. As you know, I'm a lifelong learner, so that means I'm always ordering books and doing a lot of things that I'm asking the participants to do. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background of the center and then kind of walk you through the program. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. This is the academic foundation for the program, and I'm going to go through the process of when the center started and then kind of move from there. So if you could go to the next slide. Okay, great, thank you. The center was started in 1997. It's different from the other academic components of GW. We provide leadership development, in particular strategic leadership development for both public and private sector in the Washington, D.C. area, but also for folks across the country and some international. Our educational programs are based on the OPM ECQs that Mark just talked about, and also the COBE experiential learning model. That has 4 components to it: experience, reflection, analysis, generalized across all of the components. And then there's a 5th one that we added around application so that you can apply what you're learning in real time. We go beyond the academic learning to focus on the whole person approach. So we're going to give you academic content, but we're also going to help you to actually apply it both for yourself and the people that you serve in the organization. Next slide, please. So strategic leadership development is about increasing your impact and influence. It's not saying I'm going from a 13 to a 14 to a 15. It is what impact can you make across the whole spectrum to how do you influence change? How do you change the perspective of your organization, yourself as well, and the complexity of the project or things that you're working on? And what kind of impact can you make across your organization and both public and private? So it's a different way of looking at development, starting with the whole person to say, what do I need in order for me to shift from being a technical expert to someone that's leading people and looking at it from a holistic perspective, not just my particular unit, but the organization or the agency as a whole. Next slide. Great. And here's our academic approach to leadership development. We give you concrete experiences through stretch assignments, organizational projects like the strategic projects that each of the cohorts work on in conjunctions with a strategic project coach from the department that we work in addition to in-place leadership tasks. The second part is a reflective observation and expanded awareness. That means we're going to provide you with an executive coach that's going to be working with you over, say, a 6-month period after you've taken your 360 assessment. We have peer learning circles where you get in small groups, and each of you present a challenge, and your peers help you by asking questions versus giving you a solution to help you think differently. Leadership blogs and discussions. I challenge the students to have discussions among themselves. What topic, what area of leadership challenge are you facing, and how can your peers help you do that? The third one is generalization of principles and practice of leadership. We're going to give you a lot of theory, a lot of academic information from folks that are the experts in the field, in their area, and we're asking you to actually practice the tools that we're giving you. We are immersing you in leadership readings. I was talking to one of the participants this morning, and she was saying that, you know, I'm not a active reader, and we've got all these books. What I'm asking, or what we're asking you in the program, is read. It may be that you look at the book that you're getting, and you may find 1 or 2 chapters in there that really resonates with you. Start there. You could be reading 3 or 4 books at a time, but it doesn't mean that you're sitting down in one session and going from one book to the next. It could be 15 minutes a day, but it's what makes sense for you, what's resonating with you, what do you need, what challenge are you having, and looking in those books to find out what others have done, because a lot of the books are based on 20 years of research or 10 years of research with similar leaders as yourself. The other part of that is I'm going to challenge you to actually discuss what you're reading and what you're learning and how it's applying to your everyday development. In addition to writing about it, you're going to reflect on it. I normally read those and provide comments, or I may ask you to expound on something, but it's one to challenge your thinking, to get you to think differently about how you see the world and how you contribute to it. The fourth part is active experimentation and intentional hypothesis testing. That's focusing on your individual leadership. One of the things that we ask the participants to do is do an individual change project. And that could be something that you've noticed within your organization or across your organization that says, I wish we could fix that, but we're going to challenge you to fix that, to coordinate with the folks that may not necessarily be in your organization, but have an impact on it. And so it's how do you collaborate? How do you communicate to get something fixed that will benefit the organization? We're going to give you action learning and change projects. A big part of that is, how do we do that? How do we ask you to do certain things? It's because we're giving you a 360 assessment so you know where you are, how others perceive you. You're also going to get an emotional intelligence assessment to see how you operate, and then you're going to get coaching around that from one of our professors. So there's a lot of things that we've incorporated. You have a site visit on Capitol Hill. You may go to a historical site. I know in this time, we're not sure when that's going to happen, but we still provide that experience for you so you can see the leadership lessons in history and how did they deal with them. And it's really surprising that a lot of the history lessons around leadership are relevant today. So we're going to challenge you to be open-minded, to think differently. Yes, there may be some things we ask you to do that's foreign to you, but we promise that we're going to be there for you, with you as a team, to make sure this works. Mark and I really work well together to make sure that the participants that go through the program have the resources and the support they need. One of the things I'm going to challenge you to do as I move to the next slide is reach out to those senior executives that you know to say, how did you develop? What are some of the lessons that you've learned? Did you have mentors or coaches? And if you choose to, I'd like to shadow you for a day to see what your day is like. So it's challenging you to reach up and out, to develop your experience and also learn from the experience of others. The chief of NRCS welcomed the group last month, and he talked about his leadership stories and the lessons he learned along the way. So they're here to share. It is just you're taking the initiative to apply and actually get the opportunity to do that. The program, we've incorporated this year something called the Leadership Agility Model by Bill Jordan. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, in addition to the ECQs. And we've also tried to incorporate USDA's leadership development framework. So if there are competencies that your agency is focused on, we make sure that we incorporate it into the curriculum that we've designed for you. Okay, the next slide. The leadership framework is a little different than what we are normally used to. It does focus on self-leadership, context setting, creativity, and stakeholders. Context setting is your ability to scan the environment, not just looking at your particular work unit or your division or your state, but what is it across the organization that needs changing or that needs a different framework in order to meet the challenges of today. And also helping you to actually be able to implement some of the things that you've had a thought about but haven't engaged in because you don't know the people that are actually working in the different sections. Creative. It's the ability to transform a problem that you encounter into the result you need. And a big part of that is looking at the problem from the other person's perspective. How do they operate? Why do they operate that way? And asking questions so that you get their perspective before you suggest an idea. The other part is stakeholder analysis. You're engaging with key stakeholders. They could be within your organization, outside of your organization, that have an impact on it. A lot of the folks that have gone through the program have had to look at folks in Congress and in different agencies that have an impact, or even your customers and your partners, in addition to benchmarking other organizations, both public and private, that may have experienced the challenges you're facing or trying to solve. The most critical part is self-leadership, and that's where the emotional intelligence assessment comes into place, is how do you use your initiatives as opportunities to develop into the kind of leader you want to be. And a big part of that, I ask you to look at what are your values. What do you believe in? What do you stand for? How do you show up as an individual leader, as a person? And how do you let your people and your organization know who you are as an individual leader as a part of this? And so we're going to give you experiences in all four of these areas. And one of the big things that we've done is integrated the OPM ECQs under each one of these behaviors. Next slide. And I won't go into detail about that because I know Mark is going to cover it, but this is a critical component of joining those two frameworks together so that you get the actual ECQ development that you need, as well as helping you to change the way you do business, the way you operate as a leader. And what we're trying to give you is frameworks and tools that you can use, whether it's in your professional setting, in your personal setting, across your volunteer initiatives that you do, because as a whole person, we can't compartmentalize your academic learning for your organization without impacting how you think and how you operate in the other parts of your personal and professional life. Next slide. So I know I've talked a lot about this, so I wanted to know if there are any questions you have about something I've said. This is an aggressive, time-consuming program over 12 months. It requires a lot of your time. We understand that you've got work that you've got to do in the organization, and we're taking that into consideration, but we're giving you just-in-time tools to help you go back to the organization and use them. Yes, Heather? No question, you just, okay, great. So one, it's not just, we're gonna give you some academic content and we're gonna say, go and do it. It's, we're gonna challenge you and we're gonna be there to support you. if you have a question about something after you've gone through the class, the professors are available and there to respond. Mark and I are going to be with the participants from the beginning to the end. So he and I work as a partner to make sure we're meeting the folks' needs. I would challenge any of you on the call to consider it, because I think it's an excellent, outstanding program. I've been doing this with USDA for about 10 years now. Mark and I started about maybe 4 to 6 years ago. But it's really a life-changing event. It's a marathon. It's not, I'm going to do this in 12 months and I'm going to be done. Doesn't happen that way. As a lifelong learner, and you're going to sign up to do this voluntarily, it requires a new journey. One of the big things I ask is that you create your leadership journal, because you're going to be surprised when you sign up what you learn, what you achieved, and where you're going and the impact you're making. And if you don't capture that in the moment, sometimes it's hard to remember. So I hope I've answered all of your questions. If I haven't, please feel free to April or anyone else to shoot me questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. April, thank you.
Thank you, Lutricia. I did not get to formally introduce Lutricia, and I am sorry for that. Lutricia is a senior fellow at GWU Center for Excellence in Public Leadership, and she serves as the faculty director for the Strategic Leadership Development Program and the Emerging Leaders Development Program for the USDA FPAC and NRCS and other federal agencies. So that's just part of her bio. She's got a very impressive biography, and it sounds like she's very involved with USDA, and we appreciate her time and her expertise today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome to ask.
I actually do have a question. I missed the last announcement. I saw the date on when Mr. Bushman was presenting of December, and I think it was because it came out as an FPAC when it was previously sort of an NRCS. I was looking for an NRCS bulletin. But so my question is, can we assume, or do you know when it's coming out again? And can we assume December?
I think that's a Mark Corson.
I will field it. Yes, ma'am. And please call me Mark. Mr. Bushman is my father, but
sorry, can't help it.
That's
I'm
okay.
in the South.
Okay. No, trust me. I'm from Virginia and I live in Texas. I understand, Tina. No, there is going to be another group. This is scheduled because of. Okay, I'll try to make this as short as possible, but it's tough. So we were a little bit behind in getting this particular cohort started, and then the pandemic came through, and usually what happens is the first week of this program, everybody gathers in Washington, D.C. for a week, and you meet your teams and everybody. And the opportunity, because Lutricia loves the word opportunity instead of challenge, the opportunity we have this time, see, I've learned. So the opportunity we have this time is that the students have been doing every Tuesdays, for most of Tuesdays, been doing meetings instead of 1 week. We've been spreading it out over the last. I think we're coming up on week 7, and so it's thrown the program, the length of the program, off a little bit. So it probably won't end until, I'm thinking it's probably going to be, I believe, early February is when this particular group is going to end. And the goal, don't hold me to this, is to get the next group started within 2 to 3 months after that. So it's probably going to be, I would say, probably about a year from now. But as I tell everyone, please feel free to email me, call me, IM me, ask, and keep on my radar so I can give you ideas of what's going on. So that's because this was, like I said, it was supposed to start like in January, February, and we didn't get started till the middle of April. So there's always some time issues here and there. But yeah, there is going to be a cohort 6. It's going to be all of FPAC, not just NRCS. And the biggest change, this is a massive change. We finally, I was fighting with this for a couple of years. We finally got them to do it. It is going to be open to GS 12s now. It's not just 13s and above. It's going to be GS level 12s who also meet the supervisory requirements. That's a really, really big deal and a big change in the program. So I think we're going to get a lot of people applying next year, which is fantastic.
A follow-up question to that then is, by what vehicle does the announcement come out? Because I was
Sure, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say I was used to it as a bulletin, a national bulletin. So being FPAC, that release looks different.
Yeah, it's the FPAC notice, I think is what they're calling it. It's just, like I said, it came out, I'm trying to think, it came out like late October, mid to late October is when it did. And that was one of the things that I was concerned about was everybody seeing that? And apparently from your response, not everybody did see that. So we've got to do a better job of marketing that. So thank you for putting that on my radar. So make sure that it's not just FPAC, that it does get, so that RMA, FSA, and NRCS all get the opportunity to see that, so that it goes out in all the different formats. So thank you for putting that on my radar.
Okay.
Does that help?
Cool. There's another question in the queue.
There is. So you mentioned that the 12 was supervisor responsibility. What does that mean? Do you have to have the responsibilities to participate as that 12? Or is part of it, do you have to have supervisor responsibility?
Well, the thing is that it has changed. The core competencies, the core basis has changed a little bit over the past couple of times. Some people that are no longer in the agency wanted at least 3 years of supervisory experience plus the GS 13 level. Now I believe they're looking at going to knock it down to the GS 12, and I believe 2 years of supervisory experience. I don't know exactly what FPAC has come up with yet. As far as supervisors, they have also talked about making it eligible for program managers. If you've been a national program manager for at least 2 years, that you would be eligible. Don't hold me to that because, like I said, it does change on every year basis. So that will be explicitly described and explained in the notice and the bulletin that comes out for the next cohort for 2021. So I hope that answers your question.
So just like a vacancy announcement, make sure to read it closely.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Other questions about the application process or the curriculum?
I have a question for Mark and Lutricia. So is the SLDP program geared towards FPAC leadership as opposed to where the senior executive leadership program is just government wide? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, Jeffrey. Yeah, they're two different things. The SES program, a lot of the folks that are eligible for SES, they go to what they call the Federal Executive Institute down in Charlottesville, Virginia. There actually is something within FPAC. It's called the Federal Executive Institute Training Program, and that's for GS 15s and SESers to get into that program. So it is different from the SLDP because that's primarily geared towards 13s and 14s. And now, obviously, like I said, we're going to be introducing 12. So it's like a hierarchy. You want to do the SLDP first and then the senior exec.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
To follow up on that, we offer the 80 hours of training that OPM requires for part of the ECQ development for SCS. We've incorporated that content into the SLDP program. So you're going to be getting some of the same training and development that folks who take the 80 hours of ECQ development for the OPM, to meet the OPM requirement.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move into the CAR model. And, I don't know how deep we want to wade into this, but Mark, if you and Lutricia want to to kind of approach this and talk about what that model is. And I've got your slides ready for that also.
Okay, yeah. I'll get started, Lutricia, if that's okay. I'm not going to go.
Yes, please.
I'm not going to go too deep on the car model, just because it doesn't really. You don't really need to do so. It's like as I said at the beginning. It's a little more advanced version of the KSAs that we all know and love, the knowledge, skills, and abilities. This is more. I think what's been happening. The shift has been more of a give us examples of what you've done to make changes within your job, or how have you improved situations, rather than just, just list your accomplishments. Use the whole overall context. What was your challenge? It says exactly what it is. What was your challenge? What was the context of that challenge? What were your actions, and what were the end results? So if you could go to the next one, I think with the diagram. Yeah, okay. So what I'll do is I will just give a real brief example of one that was used, and I have this person's, I won't say who it is, but I have this person's permission to use it because I thought it was a really good one. So the challenge that she had as a supervisor, she had a team of 7, and she had one person that had historically been doing was a really solid contributing member of the team. And over the course of several months, this person's performance deteriorated. She was becoming more combative. She was missing deadlines, and there were a lot of issues there. So her challenge in her context was, okay, I need to figure out what the problem is. I don't want to be combative with this person. I don't want to be accusatory, but I need to find out what's going on. So context was she was able to sit down with this person and find out that this employee was going through a really bitter divorce and a really nasty custody battle. And it obviously, goes without saying how challenging that can be. It affects every single part of your life. So this person had been such a great employee. And so what the person did was she was able to let her actions were, she decided to let her telework a little bit more than she had before, an extra 1 or 2 days, give her some tasks that weren't as deadline oriented. There are overall bigger concepts. Okay, here's what I need you to do. Could you have it to me by the end of the month? Kind of thing like that. So instead of the daily grind of stress that she had been doing, she changed some of the challenges there. Overall, it took about 8 months, and the personal issues were able to be settled. And so she had continued to do, and she went back and did the things that had been asked of her. So when this was over, after, like I said, about 8 or 9 months, then she was able to come back into the fold and go back to being the great employee that she was before. And so those were the results. So she said her challenge was, do I go after this as a personal issue? Do I just try to keep it professional? And that was one of her challenges. How do I do that? So she was able to find a mixture of the two and get that result. And that person has moved on to really, really good things. So she took a lot of pride when she was explaining that to us in the interview process. And I thought that was a really great example of the CAR model, and hopefully you all think so as well. Lutricia, do you have anything to add on that?
Just to say that this same model, we use it throughout the program, and we've added a fourth. Another component to it is around reflections. This model is used to get you in the practice of recording your achievements. And you'll have a packet that says, if I want to apply for a senior executive position, I've already have experience because I've been writing my achievements this way. So this is a great opportunity for you to actually learn and practice by applying for the program to say, oh, okay, I can do this. Moving from the traditional resume. Thank you, Mark.
That's hopefully that helps and explains it. I tried to make it from 30,000 feet. I hope I was able to do that a little bit. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
That's exactly what we were hoping for, Mark and Lutricia. Thank you so much. So questions. This is a good time to ask some questions about this model, where it fits in, the importance, how should I be practicing this thing?
Good morning from Arizona. Lutricia, it's wonderful to see you. This is Rebecca de la Torre.
Hi, Rebecca.
I was one of your
Nice to meet you.
students. Hello, Mark and April.
Hi.
Yeah, so great to hear your voice and your continued wisdom for all of us to be motivated and challenged. But I wanted to say something about the C-card model. So when I learned about this, I took it in two ways. I looked at it to be able to write down my accomplishments, what I did and so forth. But then I'm a pretty good planner. I'm always thinking ahead. I started using actually this model to plan my actions, plan my projects in the future. So if I'm given an opportunity to develop a program or to address some kind of issue, I literally go through these four steps and I say, okay, what's the problem? Who do I need to involve? Where are they in acceptance or support of what I have to do? And then I do basically a framework of the actions. And then I actually do another set of actions in case those first actions don't work out. And then I'm able to and then I already know what I want as my outcome, but then I see through the process how close I got to him. So not only is this a wonderful model to capture your previous work experiences, but also use it to craft your future accomplishments and your future successes. So I just want to put that out there because it works for me.
Great, thank you. That's a great example.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. Appreciate that.
Sure.
And I've noticed there are a lot of the names on here are people that have gone through this program. So anything that you all might want to add, feel free. You all have a lot of experience with this. So that's great. Happy to hear from all of you.
I also want you to know that there are people within WIN that will help you with these with this model and setting these up. So if this is a program that you're seeking to get into, if you just want to practice because you're on a leadership track, don't hesitate to reach out to WIN to have somebody review these and help you write them. So.
And one last thing, if you go to OPM's site on the FBS page, they actually have examples of the C-card model of what they're using for each of the ECQs. So it's another resource you can use to help you think about how you want to craft yours.
Very good. Any other questions on this? And I'm not seeing the text chat box at all, so let me stop sharing. Okay. Okay. So we will have time for questions again later. So if you think of something that you want to ask later, then if Lutricia and Mark have to drop off, then we will get them the questions, and I'm sure that they will respond back with those. But make sure that you're asking the questions. That's what this time is for. So at this point in time, we'll move into our leaders that have had some experience with this program and have already completed the program. We do have others who are, I think there's more leaders on here than I know that have completed this program, and congratulations to each of you. It sounds like it's quite a challenge and undertaking. But I also know that there are some on the call who are in the midst of this. And so you are amongst friends if you are on this call and you are looking to make this journey. So make sure that you're reaching out to some of these other ladies and men also who have done this. So our experienced leaders today that we have joining us is Kristie McKinley, our WIN president, Heather Medina Sauceda, and she is our WIN vice president. I don't know if the executive goes with your title or if it's before, but she's our VP. Uretha Bostic. She is actually in leadership with WIN as a regional representative, and Jade Nield is also a regional representative with WIN, but they are also leaders in their positions and in the things that they do every day. So I'll let them give a little bit more information on what they do and can kind of give you some background information. So are we going to take this one by one? Will Kristie kick it off for us? Okay, very good.
Yeah, we had a little game plan before we started today, and it is so great to see Lutricia. Yay, Lutricia! We miss you so much. So, if you ever have a chance to participate in this program, and I know Jeannie and Katrina are in it right now, and there's maybe some others that have been through it. It sounds like that are members. This is probably the most life-changing program I have participated in over 25 years of working for NRCS. And so I would encourage every one of you that are interested in participating in this program to go for it. And one thing that I think April mentioned is we will help you review your application. The application process does take time, and we reviewed some of those applications that came in this year, and would love to do that to help anyone else out there that wants to go through the program, because we want good leaders in the agency. So with that, I'll kind of talk about my experience. There's 4 of us. Actually, on our national council, there's 6 of us that have either been through or are going through the program, which is awesome. And so I do think that this program sets us up to be good leaders for you on the National Council. And then that includes our regional reps that are out there, but we're here to work for you. And so we do need those leadership skills, and you need those leadership skills in your daily job as well. I'll just start by saying that when I applied for the program, I had been in my current position, and I work for the national headquarters. And I've worked for the national headquarters for quite a while now, almost 15 years. And so at the time I'd been doing the same job, which back then I was working on PRS, and I worked on IDEA and more of the software applications that I came into from working in the field. And, I was kind of just stuck in a rut. And I had kind of given up some opportunities to move on and upwards in the agency. And that was intentional because of my children. Anyway, let's take a pause. So, excuse me. So anyway, I'm gonna just get real, I guess. And so that's what we want. So anyway, I just want you to know that the things we share are real, and we want you to hear our stories. So, so anyway, I just gotta pull it together. All right, so anyway, I didn't really have any other career goals. I was happy just being where I was at and just kind of stuck where I was at and just happy, because I wanted to be there for my family. And so I, had just kind of accepted that. And then this program came along and changed my life. Like I said, oh, that's awesome. So I'm getting IMs now. So thank you so for that encouragement. So I'll just say that after the first meeting we had, I was scared to death and thought, I need to quit. And what have I gotten myself into? I was so comfortable just doing my day-to-day job, and now they want me to go do something else. And what is this all about? They're making us do touchy-feely stuff. And if you've been in the program, they make you get in touch with your personal side. I know that was hard for some of us. And to be honest, it was a relief, because for those of us that are women, we don't get to show that side at work a lot. And so we're not able to share, what's really going on, at home, we're juggling so many things. We come to work and we have to take that hat off and be someone else. And so this gave us a chance to really be honest about what was important to us, which was, that work-life balance that we struggle with. All right. So, so my experience as far as during the SLDP program, so Heather and Jade were in 2 different groups that I participated in. So our project group, and then we had, and I forget the name of it, but I would say our mentoring group that they put us in, which was an awesome experience. And so I think the biggest thing that I gained from just during the experience was just looking forward to seeing everybody and making these relationships. The thing I enjoyed the most, Lutricia, and I don't know if this is for everybody, was the congressional tour that we got to do. And that's something I've never been able to do, but you know, I would love to go back and do some of those things again, and seeing everybody. It's just very wonderful to have that experience. And I hope you get to enjoy something like that in your career. After the program, I'll say that this program may have saved my marriage, and I'll be honest about that. This program helped me get work better in touch with my feelings and be able to really put priorities on my life. And that's a great thing that we all need to do. And so anyway, sometimes that's hard to admit, because, I think that I have it all pulled together, and sometimes, you have to evaluate yourself, and you go through that 360 assessment, and you really get to see what you're really all about. So that was good. But anyway, the project we worked on was an Adobe pilot project. So those of you may have used Adobe Pilot. I do a lot of training. So if you know what I do in my real job, is working on Conservation Desktop and CART, and before that was Toolkit. And so we were asked to pilot Adobe Connect to move away from doing a hands-on training. And so we're still using that. We are moving into Teams and other options. But anyway, that was the first time we had tried to do that. I guess sharing advice, I think I've shared that, but I would just say that the people you meet, and Lutricia is just one of the faces. There's a lot of good people and great people that they bring into the program that you're going to have a chance to work with, that are going to make you get real about what you're all about. And really it's about your core values. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that one thing I've learned is that, and this, I'll just admit, my core values are so important that it's hard for me to work for someone that I don't, I guess, share those same values. And so that was something that I learned through the program. As far as future plans, that's a good question. I would not be the WIN president today if it wasn't for the SLDP program and Katrina Thompson, which is out there somewhere, who came to us, all of us, and said, we need you in WIN. And I'll just say now that we need everyone, that wants to participate. So Lutricia, if you've got SLDP folks, we'd love to have them participate with us, because we need your new leaders that you're training. But anyway, I would just say that I'll kind of stop there and say that it's a lot. You're going to go through a lot of change in your life. Be prepared for it, but you're going to change everything for the better. It's really awesome. So anyway, I'll stop there. I don't want to take anyone else's time, and turn it back over to you, April, for the next person. I can't remember who was going next.
That would be Heather Medina Sauceda.
Hey, Kristie, you're going to make me cry. Great job, Kristie. Hello, I'm Heather Medina Sauceda. I have some talking points, so hopefully I can stick to them so I can be in the time length. I am Assistant State for Field Operations in Oregon. I've been in this position since 2010. I identify myself as Chicana, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I wanted to get into this program because I wanted to improve my leadership. As a supervisor based in team leader, I'm leading my staff, and I personally feel that's something that I can always do better. I always want to get better. I still play soccer, and I always want to work on my craft. And so that's something I just try to always improve. I'm not perfect, and I can do better. And I never want to stop learning. So SLDP was something that enabled me to continue to get better, especially as a supervisor and a person. Some of the projects that are areas that I really, had mentioned, talking points that I wanted to cover. Mentoring was extremely helpful for me. For the first time ever in my life, I had a female as a mentor, and that was huge. I requested a female as a mentor, so I was working with a female senior leader in NHQ. I loved going to meetings with her and watching her at the table with other senior leaders. I mean, it was interesting. We read about the books about body posture, where you sit at a table, and actually seeing her and how she maneuvered was amazing. She made me do things that I never thought I would be doing, like preparing a senior executive ECQ. And I'm just really appreciative for all the pushing that she did with me. The peer circles, like Kristie said, they were very touchy-feely, definitely not NRCS work or government work, but it was really a good opportunity for us to work in a group of 4 to really listen to each other and not to provide comments, but to ask good clarifying questions. Kristie and I were on a team together, and we had a few other colleagues, and our project was tracking the cost of training. And in Oregon, I had been part of a continuous process improvement, and this was one additional way that I could do continuous process improvement into a large project. And this was great. So I really enjoyed that. And I felt we made connections, and we learned a lot about NEDC, EDS, and all of our partners. We needed to do, in 2017, I was part of that cohort, and we needed to do a stretch assignment. And when I was working with my state con, Ron Alvarado, I gave him a list of ideas for a stretch assignment. And Ron is really good. He said, your question should be, what does the agency need of you? And there was a big gulp. So stretch assignment is to stretch you, not to do something you're comfortable in. And so I worked with Tom Christensen and his staff for about 90 days. I worked on office leases. It's something I've never done before, but working on that, was really opened my eyes, and I got to share a perspective with Tom Christensen's staff at that time as well. Let's see. That stretch assignment was in headquarters, and again, it was for 90 days. I've been into headquarters before in different details, but this was different, and I kind of had an agenda when I went in there. I really wanted to connect and meet with people. And so again, with my mentor, she encouraged me to meet other senior leaders as well. And I think when I went to headquarters and got to see how many female leadership people we had there, I was awestruck, because I work with all men pretty much. And it was so inspiring to see all these women there. And they just, were cheering us on, and it was really helpful. Oh, sorry. I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to go to the Peace Corps office in headquarters. And I had made connections with the International Division for NRCS, and I connected with other people as well. And Lillian Woods had invited me if I wanted to go to the Peace Corps office and present with USDA at the National Food Day. And I was able to connect with other RPCVs, Returned Peace Corps volunteers, and other country directors talking about what USDA does. So that was super awesome, inspiring. So when I was on my stretch assignment, I did that as well. So again, we're working in headquarters on our stretch assignment, and connecting with those other RPCVs and people that work for USDA. And I was able to actually meet with other people, those RPCVs, and talk about other USDA organizations. So I sat down with people from the Foreign Ag Service to learn more about what they do as well, and that was really cool. Lutricia was doing some coaching, and I think this was really important, and she was coaching us. And one of my one-on-one sessions with her, I remember her saying is, does your network look like you and talk like you? If so, you need to change that. And you need to get out of your comfort zone. And that's why I joined WIN. Even though we're all women, I we don't all look like each other. We don't think like each other. So that was one of the reasons I joined WIN. I'd been a lifelong member of NOPSI, but I was in that same mindset. So WIN has really enabled me to meet other women and men that have different thoughts. I'm trying to hurry up. So right now, what am I doing? I'm trying to pay it forward. We read a lot of books, so I give a lot of recommendations to people I read in I work with in NRCS, my staff, and other females. Again, in that working with Lutricia, we read a lot of books, but there were some books that it just didn't really hit some of the challenges I was having as a female. So Lutricia gave me some individual books as a female and what females need to do or challenges that females in leadership experience. So those book recommendations were really helpful. And I've been able to provide other women, not just in the NRCS, those book recommendations, and they always come back to me and thank me for those recommendations. So that's been helpful. I work with my staff on the CCAR method. My expectations as a supervisor is that they provide their accomplishments report to me in the CCAR method. They did not like it at first, but I think that it's making it easier for them to talk about their accomplishments. Also, when people ask me to review the resumes, I also give them the CCAR method, and that's how I work with people on resumes as well. And I mean, Kristie, Jade, Uretha, we've all been in communication and Spokane, a lot of us were there for the joint conference. And I think that's not just the ladies, but the guys in our group too, in our cohort, is that it's really bonded us. And that's what I really appreciate. It's very hard sometimes in your state, you feel like you're the only one. So having these people in other states, you get different ideas. And so having this group of sisters out there that I can call when I have, that I can confide in and trust in has been extremely helpful. It's hard out there. And so these women are great for me. That's it, thanks.
Well, if nothing else, we are getting real stories today. And we have real life and we deal with real life every day. And so we're not alone, obviously. And please take heart that others are going through things. And if you need help, there are others that can help you. They've been there. And so feel free to reach out. So, are you good, Heather? Okay. I'm losing my place, sorry. Uretha, are you ready? This has to be Lutricia's favorite group. I can't imagine her having another group that was this amazing.
They're all my favorites.
That's pretty fair. Uretha, are you ready?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, April. And I was just about to say that for Lutricia, because I think that she is just so amazing in so many different ways. But all of the women that I have met and all of the gentlemen that I met during this program have just been phenomenal. For those that know me, I am Uretha Bostic, and I transferred from a different federal agency. I have a strong military background, and I come from a very structured prior federal agency. So I had been in my position as a human resource officer in Florida for maybe 2.5 years prior to applying to this program. And soon as I got to this agency, it came across our desk, my desk, and I had to filter it out. And when I applied for it, I wasn't accepted the first year because of the stringency of the requirements. So I am so glad that they relaxed those requirements quite a bit. But I was blowing up major relationships around me like landmines when I first came to this agency. I had no idea it was such a small agency and that we operated within a small core or structure. And that was hard for me to grasp because I came from an agency with 700,000 employees and we just kind of operated by the rules, okay? And I'm structured, so I need that. Operating on who you know or when you know or if they like you, that was kind of different for me. And so I needed something to equip me with the style and the skills that could help me and enhance productivity of those around me and also help me focus on sketching out a clear path for my advancement since I was aiming to assume leadership roles. At that time, when I went to the program, I met Heather and Kristie, Erica, oh, he'll kill me, Leslie, that's it, I'm sorry, and Leslie. And that was some of my circle. Jade was from Florida with me, and I don't have a problem with talking to people at all. And when I say this, most people would say, oh my God, Uretha, just tell the truth. But I am an introvert and no one believes me. So since this class, I have started a little discussion on, am I ambivert or extrovert? And I found out, or inverted, I found out I'm ambivert. And so that should relieve all the questions that most people have at this particular point. But getting back on cue here, my career goals at that time was to achieve a position that can help with opening the doors for others who wanted advancement and they wanted to walk through them. Because oftentimes this goal captures those in a minority within an agency. And I mean a minority, i.e. in their work ethic and or their advancement goals. Sometimes it falls within EEO requirements, but I wasn't capturing that from this standpoint. My experience during the SODP yanked me right out of my sergeant major role that I frequently played. Do this when I say do it, how I say do it, and no one believes that either. But it placed me outside the box, a little bit outside of the personality that was formed in the military for me. And so it really helped me to identify that humbleness within myself and helped me to define character within the people that I work with, because unlike most of the people in RCS, I am not from a professional background. I am from a managerial background, and my leadership chain is completely different. And I needed the relationships. I needed to know who these people were. I needed the knowledge. You don't know what you don't know until someone tells you. And with the agency being such a small knit, most people didn't say much because there was a trust issue. I had to trust my intuition on what I felt and use my past experiences, where I've been and where they've been, to try to capture some of the successes of what I've done and how I'm going to bring that to the table here. I just needed the ability to do that. And I worked and worked and worked to try to make that happen. I had to learn very quickly that team is not all about me accomplishing everything, but a collective concept. And again, it was hard because here's an agency that did things 50 different ways by 100 different people within 1,000 few seconds. And that was overwhelming for me. So in the SODP program, once I graduated it, I have learned, as Lutricia and I believe Kristie mentioned, definitely Mark mentioned it, the program is not about grade climbing, but rather impacting, influencing, and imparting. So holistically speaking, some of the impacts I have made across the agency, I was unaware that I was making them But within the last few years, I can look back and say, wow, I really, not only did I transform, I almost transcended into that person I saw in Lutricia when I saw her, and I said, wow, look at her. She is so meek. I can never be meek like that. She is so professional, but she was so strong in her delivery. And like Kristie, I myself, I can't follow a leader that is not as strong professionally as myself. I would tell that leader from the beginning, I know I can't work for you, but I love you, so I need another boss. and they tend to respect that. But in this program, I've learned that. So some of the impacts I've made across the agency to influence change includes joining WIN as a lifelong member. I also joined the NOPB NRCS employees. I currently take on opportunities, again, that are a good fit for me within the agency. And one of the things that I have been able to accomplish through this program is I have not truly restored all the relationships that I needed to, but I've gained some valuable relationships through this class that are lifelong, that are true, that helps ground me. And when I feel like I am walking off a cliff, I am able to go to really many of the women in this agency and say, what would you do about this? And how can we make this better? And they often tell me. And I have also learned that many people look to me for leadership and guidance, and they kind of crave that. And I did not know that the first few years because I ruffled those feathers and I was kind of placed in a box for a while. But this program helped me realize you can be in that box, but you determine when you're going to come out of that box, how you're coming out of that box, and what you will be doing when you get out that box. So I learned in some of the readings that leading well is not about enriching yourself. It's truly about empowering others. And if we're going to empower others, see, I'm up on my soapbox now. If we're truly going to empower others, then we need to ensure that opportunities are presented out there for them and that we are true, humble, accountable, transparent, and that we are in an environment of trust. Moving forward, because I know my time is limited, my project dealt with sustainable agriculture. For my entire career, I've been in human resources in every facet: safety, workers' comp, employee relations, staffing. So when they gave me something called sustainable agriculture, I'm going, oh my God, what does that mean? What is sustainable agriculture? And they put me in a team of great leaders: Eric Sofer, Leslie Glover, Erica Westbrook, and they were specialists in their field. And so I was quite intimidated. But through that, it pulled me straight out of my comfort zone and threw me into something I did not know and said, make an impact, make a decision, good, bad, or indifferent. And at the time, we was working with Congress on trying to figure out what entity within the United States will oversee sustainable agriculture. Will private industry sustain it or oversee it, or will government? And I thought that was so fascinating because, oh my God, I am given an opportunity to really make a decision and make a change, not only for the people that are around me, but possibly for the world. And I really enjoyed that. I would like to share some advice and recommendations for others that are interested in the SODP. And that is, I agree with some of the information that the other leaders have provided. I recommend this program to anyone who is interested in learning your values and direction in life, because it helped me put things into perspective more so in my life, and it focused me on my individual priorities. But by doing that, I was able to come out stronger on the other end in my career. I learned that people like people who like them, and that we need to take note of who we are because it dictates what you see. My future plans and future goals include paving the way for others by having the connections and resources to equip them with the tools to ensure that doors are open that no man can shut, and doors are shut that no man can open. The Senior Leadership, Strategic Leadership Development Program shaped and changed my career because I am currently a GS 13 by title, but GS 14 by temp promotion. This is my third temp promotion, which makes me within the eligibility requirements for a GS 15. And so I think that that's huge. I have taken advantage of the opportunities that have been out there, and I have never considered myself a jack of many trades, but since this program, I'm pretty confident that whenever I ask to work on an assignment, it is typically dropped in my lap with the autonomy and confidence in knowing that it will be done with better than exceptional results. My most favorite part of the SLDP experience was being pushed to my limits, because I am typically a confident and out front personality without reservation. But this program sent me on a journey into a deeper look at who resides within my body, and I discovered that I had to revisit some of the areas that were formed in me and that kept me in constant conflict with myself, almost fighting a war within myself to accomplish acceptance and success. I concluded the program realizing that acceptance is necessary because a leader cannot lead without someone to follow. We don't have any Lone Ranger leaders. So if you think about it, we're not alone. You're not alone unless you're leading someone. My least favorite part of the SLDP experience is the prerequisites were so stringent. I would make a strong recommendation that when I left the class, I really enjoyed the readings. I love the camaraderie, but I have maintained that, we have maintained that as a tight-knit group. But I would recommend that we receive the additional resources that the agency still pour into the people that they put confidence in the program to push them forward within that window of what they say. So if they say 5 years to develop you and help you make a difference in the agency, then all 5 years continue to develop us, because that gives buy-in and it gives every individual an opportunity to take advantage of opportunities to advance the agency. Now, coming off my soapbox. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Uretha. Jade, are you ready?
I am ready.
Good
Okay,
deal.
good afternoon, everyone, and I'm the last one for the day. So I'll make it, I know we only have, I think 10 or so minutes left, so we'll leave room for questions at the end. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the East Regional Representative for WIN, and I'm up in New Hampshire. That's where I live, but I work for headquarters. I'm on a long-term detail under the Management and Strategy Deputy area. I actually have been on detail to headquarters since last March. The past year was spent in the RC's office, and now I've shifted over under Louis Aspey and Dan Lawson in the Management and Strategy Deputy area. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. So backing up to, I'll try to speak a little bit differently, but I share a lot of the same sentiments as my colleagues there. And so you may hear some similarities as I go through, but I applied actually for the SLDP because I was told at the time that if I wanted to be on the list of vetted acting state conservationists, I needed to go through the SLDP program. And that was a goal of mine at the time, was that I wanted to become a state conservationist and act in that role to help prepare me. So that was initially the reason why I applied. So at the time, like I mentioned, I was working towards building my resume, expanding professional experience to become a state conservationist. However, after going through the program and several years of experience that I've had throughout my career, and most importantly in my family, my priorities have shifted. And I have learned that making big decisions like career changes, for me, I've learned to listen to my heart and not so much my ego. And maybe at the time, what I felt I had to climb a certain ladder to get to the next step. And I really feel that the SLDP program helped me get to that point and really stick to my values, as Kristie mentioned earlier, because my values and my family will always come first, no matter what. So the SLDP program is very challenging. I won't deny that. It will stretch you and challenge you in ways that you never had been before. However, there's something about it that it made me highly motivated throughout the program, even as exhausted as you may be because you're having late nights and you're trying to read this book because you had to finish it and come up with a paper for Lutricia the next day. And my gosh, I have 200 pages left to read. Yep, you're up till 1 in the morning and you're doing all of that. But there's this sense of, because there's others in there with you, you're not alone, right? So you had this continued sense of trying to balance it all, balancing the stress of whatever life may be throwing at you at the time. So it's family, it's kids, because I have 3 children of my own and a husband who also works, and parents that live with us at the time that I was really caring for. So I saw Brianna, I think it was one of the women posted comments, how did you balance it all with your family? It's challenging. Not to mention you had your other job that you were still supposed to be doing, right? That doesn't go away. And so it's like having, it's a lot, I will tell you that, but I never felt alone. And that's the thing, there's this great sense of support within your cohort. So the people who are in the program with you, and then those at George Washington University, like Lutricia and her colleagues. And then not to mention all the NRCS folks who are supporting you along the way, because it's a prestigious program. It's a huge honor to be part of this program, and the senior leaders of NRCS know that, and they're going to support you. So I had, like Heather, I was really hoping for a female mentor also. My background is engineering, so I've always worked with a lot of men engineering, and I've always been a minority as a female. So I did have the fortune of having Kim Burns, if you guys know of her. She was in SCS, she was our easement programs division director. She has since retired, but she was my mentor. And she allowed me to come into headquarters and shadow her for a week. And that was the best experience. So real, you know, I was able to sit in her meetings with her and just see how she worked the room, like Heather said, when she observed her mentor. And that opportunity alone led me to meet so many high-level leaders in our agency. Even for that short week, I was in these big meetings with the regional conservationist, the associate chief. And you really get to observe, and that built my network to the point I came home that week and I got a call from my state conservationist. He said, geez, I just got a call from, it was Kevin Wicke at the time, who's since retired. And he had offered, he wanted me to serve as an acting state con in not 1, but 2 different states. He threw that out there as an opportunity. And so you just never know. Things start to happen and people start to recognize you when you're in this program because of the opportunities that's given to us. So I just wanted to give you that example. So from an educational standpoint, super organized, structured, well-designed program from George Washington. I was super impressed with the content. There's a lot of different instructors that they bring in from the outside private sector, as well as folks from George Washington University. So it's an amazing group of faculty. And the coaching, like they mentioned too. So, you know, you had a coach with Lutricia who's amazing, and she'll push you and stretch you and ask you tough questions. And, you know, I think it brings tears to your eyes, you know, because they're deep, tough questions that get to your core, but that's what this is about. So after SLDP, I've gained a lot of confidence in myself, my skills, my abilities, and that it's okay to say no. It's okay to do what you feel is best, and be okay with that answer. I joined WIN like the other ladies, and have found myself in this leadership role as regional representative, and have been really involved in the initiative, the barrier initiative that you guys are hopefully familiar with. So that's been an amazing opportunity. I've improved the relationships throughout different aspects of my career, both, you know, subordinates and colleagues and peers. So I'm just looking here at my notes because I know we're running short on time. So I'm just going to say this. If you are interested at all in SLDP, really share your goals, your career plans, your aspirations with your supervisor. You need their support, and they should be supporting you, but gain their support in you. And in turn, they're going to want to see you succeed and support your interest in pursuing SLDP. It will be challenging, but it's possible as long as you have the support of your family, your supervisor, and your colleagues. So my future plans, I love to pay it forward. I've learned so much, and I know the value of mentoring and networking and building relationships. Above all else, everything comes down to relationships and people. And so, you know, my favorite part of the experience was building that trust, the camaraderie, the working relationships, and all of the lifelong friendships that I now have with women here that you see on the screen. So I'm going to stop there because I don't have anything else really to say, and it's almost 2:30. So that's all. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. So wonderful. Thank you all so much. Absolutely fabulous stories. If you have the chance to connect with any of these ladies that have you know, been speaking to us, they're wonderful women to interact with and to get to know and to work with. So thank you, Lutricia, so much for joining us today. And Mark also. Katrina, do you want to say anything to kind of wrap up?
Hey, April. This has been such a great session. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you, Lutricia and Mark. As you know, I'm actively involved with both of you currently, and really looking forward to my adventure and working on my skills. Jeannie also, who is a regional rep, is in that same session, and so is Tammy. Tammy's on my team for our special project, and we just had a meeting earlier with Dr. Harvey, and she is a WIN member. She is also here, and there might be others. I apologize if I miss anyone, but I'm currently going through this adventure. I have had the feelings that everyone has expressed, but I haven't been through to the very end yet. So I'm sure I've got a lot more adventures to come, and I really look forward to it. And anybody reach out to me, any of us, and we will certainly give you more information. And I don't know if Jeannie wants to say anything about her adventure so far.
No, I guess I really don't have a whole lot to add. I mimic Katrina's thoughts there as far as, you know, starting to see all the different pieces of it that the rest of the ladies have shared with us today, and very excited to get into the strategic project portion of it, and just look forward to all the adventures and all the learning and all the growing through the program. So thank you.
And we're really looking forward to all the things that you're going to do too, because this is obviously an opportunity to do even more with the agency. So we look forward to all those things. So I'll open it up for one question for anybody that you want to ask. This is your opportunity. No one is going to take that opportunity?
I have a quick question. This is Tammy Willis, and I am currently on the team, as Christina just mentioned, but I have a question for all the ladies that gave their phenomenal stories about being on the SLDP, being in the SLDP program. If you had to change anything, what would it be?
You talking about the program or talking about ourselves, or what do you change?
I'm talking about the about yourselves.
Oof.
From what you knew back then and now that you're in the program, if you had to change anything now that you have the knowledge, what would it be?
So this is Uretha. I was speaking with Mark last night. One of the things that I think need to be changed, or at least viewed, is to determine the success of the participants going in and coming out of the program. And I say that from a measurable standpoint, not necessarily from a standpoint of their contributions to the agency, but more so from the aspect of their advancement and the agency stance with that advancement of those particular leaders. I would change that.
This is Heather. I think I personally had experienced some kind of backlash, maybe from becoming in the SLDP program. And then after doing the stretch assignment and things like that. And so I would tell myself back then, be ready, not necessarily put your armor on, but continue to utilize your contacts, and you are worth it. You can do this, and don't let anybody tell you you can't.
Jade or Kristie, do you want to contribute?
I'm trying to hold it together. Yeah, I think, trying to think all the things. I would just say that in the line of work I'm in, I did not get a chance to really do a true detail, and they give you a great opportunity to do a detail. And I would say that I missed out on that because I was basically doing a collateral. So I was doing my current job and a detail, and that didn't go so good. So be sure to make sure that it's clear to your supervisor that you need that time to do that stretch assignment, and you can't continue to do your current job. And it's important that you take that time away from that job that you love to go do something else and go try something that's new. And it makes you a better person. So I would change that experience and really have thought to spent more time and had been able to focus on that and not try to do both jobs.
I can't think of anything I would really change, Tammy. I'm trying hard, but it's just not coming to me right now. So I'm sorry, I don't have anything else to share. I was really happy with my experience. I guess maybe that's a good thing. So I can't think of anything I would change.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, so everybody knows who Heather, Jade, Kristie, Uretha, Katrina, Jeannie, Tammy, Lutricia, and Mark are now. And we've got to see your smiling faces, and we really appreciate your time. This is an hour and a half out of your real work to give back and to pay forward and to invest in someone else, and we really appreciate that. Even more, it's an encouragement to grow and to continue. If you need any of these ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to reach out to them. I have Lutricia's email somewhere, and if she's okay with me sharing that, I'll be happy to do that also. But we will make sure that you have all these contacts. Kristie, would you like to wrap us up as the WIN president?
Yeah, and I won't take much time. I just want to say thank you for all the speakers today. Thank you for Lutricia and Mark for joining. It's just been a great end to our stressful week, and so we have a lot going on, and I know everyone out there is working hard and doing everything we can. Just kind of in your email, and we've been the survey ends today. If you haven't taken the WIN survey, we really want to use that to get your feedback on what we can do to make WIN better. This morning, the WIN weekly announcement went out. There's a lot of good information in there. The national bulletin is out for the Federal Men's Program Manager Leadership Development Workshop Series. If you have any questions on that, I think Katie's on, I'm on, let us know what questions you have. And if you're considering joining the SWCS conference, we are partnering in that, and the information is also in that email, and we'll be putting that on Facebook, because I know some folks like to do that as well. But anyway, thank you so much, and we will continue to do the best we can to serve you. That's what we're here for.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.